So it's a great, great honor to be here reading for y'all. And thank you, River Road Reading Series, for having me and giving me this opportunity. It's very early morning here, 5 a.m. So a very good morning to y'all as well from Pondicherry. So I'll just straight away begin reading my poems. And this is from, it was actually published almost 25 years ago. And from my first book, which was Shout, but republished again in I Know You Are Here, which was published by Red River, a publishing house based out of New Delhi. And the first poem I'll read for you today is called Versova Beach, which is a beach in Mumbai. Versova Beach. Last night was something else. The sea licks the face of a sky, trawlers in the cold shadow of clouds, and two blackbirds. A woman in green and gold searches for crabs and perfect shells. Another morning leaves her watermarks on my name and eyelashes and lines my womb with her unformed delta. Such is the beauty in struggle and hunger. Small boats flutter blue flags of peace, economy, and I sniff for thunders, spices, and men from Africa, Oman, Afghanistan, and some unnamed islands hidden in the large intestine of water. So that's the first poem I began with. And then I'll move on to another poem which was a little more recent, which is a temple city around here in Pondicherry called Tirubhuvanam. And we usually go there to visit as part of the Pondicherry Heritage Festival. So Tirubhuvanam. Meandering narrow lanes of freshly painted green and purple houses, pink and yellow flower shrubs, cows with their bright horns and beaded cowbells, water bodies and palms, we arrive at temple territory in Tirubhuvanam in Tamil Nadu. Our guide's faulty blowhorn really makes more noise than announcements. Finally, we step across to another century of men with ancient sculpted minds, Shiva's snakes and Vishnu's elephants. They never could agree, the sects, Shaivites and Vaishnavites, a bit like Catholics and Protestants, our guide explained. And so the debate ensued inside Sanctorum on who is more effective, shall we say, of the two, the destroyer or the preserver. Old women of the land in their simple rust and mustard cotton saris watch as a busload of foreigners arrive, discovering a time that to them is nothing new. We then nod heads, recognizing guards and guardians, the Garudas and Nandis of the truth, make an effort to decipher secret knowledge and strokes of land measurements, taxes, lists of administrative boards and ceremonies on walls of these granite coils. Nothing will match the elegance of a Shiva when in a corner he waits, a beggar, Bhikshanamurti, wearing nothing but a jewel snake around his hip, worshipped by lovesick wives of sages, or his Ardhanariswara stance when transcending souls of lovers merge in union. Inscriptions are not entirely in Tamil, some agree. Possibly there were other influences. In the height of their powers, 905 through 955 AD, Chola kings mixed up politics with religion. When gods and kings demand your land and livestock, in exchange for perpetually burning oil lamps of eternity and moksha, what choice do we have? With every step conquered, we will discard our robes. And as we transcend to the God's realm, we will need nothing, have nothing. Wombed inside the darkness of a celestial rock, Vishnu resides still, its steps held up by many avatars, elephants, dragons, beneath shades of banyan trees. There, a bespectacled priest smiles, pointing to the bowl with vermilion, utters something in Tamil, of which I pick up the only word I know, currency. I still carry some, even in God's realm. Transaction over, I quickly protect my being with a vertical stalk of vermilion. I go about in complete silence, circumambulating grahas and nakshatras, other animals, chakras that would destroy egos and conch shells in otherworldly communion with all the dear departed women in my life, ascending step by step, discarding garbs and other narratives of having loved and taken losses, of arriving and leave-takings. Our guide is now far out of range. A priest with a slight limp approaches me, wanting my japamala. Well, there are a few Indian words, like japamala would be like a rosary and koel like a temple, so I just left them as they were. So the next poem again takes us back about a decade ago. When I lived in Delhi, I kind of stopped writing for a long, long time. So, and then started writing again, and this is called Light Shift. My heart is the inside of an empty blue fridge, cold, white, and with a low, steady hum. Outside, the night waits for a certain something, not really sure for what. Maybe it strains to hear a bird song or open its eyes to something uncurling and leaf. Then there is the kettle, fuming, steaming, and gurgling, and I think, is it over? A brown cow across the road outside the boundary wall has been mooing all morning. It is tied with a short rope and can hardly move. She craves fresh air and a mouthful of grass, both in short supply around here. Draw me within your long arms and let me stay there for the rest of the day. My stuff, still unpacked, lies about this place, the TV on the floor, pushed against the wall, and you know I still enter this room from the creaking iron back gate, not able to access the main entrance yet. The only constant in my life is something I cannot put in a box or into words. This thing lugs me about wherever it will. Now, the light from the laptop makes patterns of blue and orange on the wall opposite my bed. CSNY sings Our House, but all I can hear lying here beside you is the silence in the light shift. Right, so I hope somebody's keeping track of the time because I'm going to go on reading some more poems. The next one is called My Aunt's Home, and this is again in Mumbai, written almost, I think 25 years ago. And this is my aunt's home. Her backyard is a ruin in green on which topaz black giant snails feed. They have grown lumpish with age, prosperity, and charity to reign here where we used to whistle around bonfires made of crackly walnut brown leaves every Christmas night. The room upstairs is a skeleton of its florid cushioned self, with ragged furniture and lights that strain the eye. It would seem that an unendurable hurricane has left here a disaster zone on the terrace where books lay mutilated in the rain. It takes more than money to be loved, I said, but does it? My old aunt knows. There were once rules for trespassers here. Now my aunt complains, demanding her share to the ancestral property. I know she wants to defeat time and be at that place that is more than a shelter. She now searches for words that offend. A bit muddled herself, she cannot disentangle hope from the weeds that are scaling her mildewed walls. So I'll just move back again to around this time, 2020 around, and I wrote a poem called I Am That Old Woman Now, and it was published in the Kali Project in the US by Indie Blue Publishing House early this year. I am that old woman now. I am that old woman now, talking to palms, roses, thorny bushes, walking slow with varicose veins bulging, still feeding cats. I stumble here, I thought on time, but the clock struck gentle, turning my face pale, lipstick smudging coffee mugs of leftover desires. The air rent with sparrow rain songs and familiar beat of metal music. I create this whole edifice just in case I forget my name, or the various shades of colorlessness, not white. I return to unearth the long dead. I am that woman with her back bent, her remarkable, beautiful face tuned, always busy leaving buff pages of fiction and alaps of sarangis and santoos. Abandon me now, let go final vestiges of that fire that consumes. There is nowhere else left to leave. The sky overcast, the sea dances bearing possibilities of this hour. The woman now cycles to sea, listening for distant trawlers and gull cries, beginning to relive the myths of a place she once called home. Again, there are a couple of Indian words, sarangis and santus, which are string instruments, and alap, which is a tonal melody. Yeah. The next poem is again a recent one during the pandemic days, lockdown days, I wrote. I'd like to read, which is called Absence. Absence. Busy morning, I think it may rain. The bells of the red and white church toll at odd hours. And black and white posters of long forgotten smiles now abound my busy streets. Who would want to leave in such a hurry? What is the urgency to converse now about colors of sunsets and curries? A lady draped in a sari gathers flowers and farewells. She tries to recall where she needed to be, with the parks and benches empty, vacant chairs gathered by the sea, flamingos calling out to the sky, losing their way. Still so much to do, and the coffee tastes like sawdust, and days and clock hours drift to unknown shores. The lady, now convinced she's here for a reason, wildly waves a white piece of paper at no one in particular. No one is there. She touches the morning's face, her days scattered to the blues and aroma of the living and memories of brisk walks and arguments in a dream park beside her slowing heart. I hope there is some time left. So the next poem is, again, written last year in June. It's called Tame. This is as a reaction to George Floyd's death. So this is for George Floyd, which is decoding the mind of a bigot, called Tame. And then the beast rises again. doe-eyed and indefatigable. No matter what I try and how, it just would not budge. This thing, big God resting from my underbelly, breaking out a subterranean tango across my drumming veins. As we kneel down to pray, millennia collapse in the flash of a failing dream. And I think it's funny I got here so soon. And for the moment, the beast is tamed again, waiting for its next hunt to commence. What cannot be muzzled, I will love or murder, or trade for fistfuls of sacrifices at altars of collective impotencies. The beast nests beneath the demagogic color of my skin, layering the third, fourth, and filthy sex, fertility goddesses, the incorporeal insurgents. How do I tackle holding this word down, take its breath away, when the beast must surge from my sheer soul? The nightmare now arranged neat in unfounded beliefs and profound desolation. I win. Okay, I think I'll go back to reading a couple of poems, a little more about nature around here. So the first one is about some birds, there's a lake around here called Osudu Lake, and we go there every winter to watch the birds. So this is from my Pondicherry series, a poem called Pondicherry series, and this is number 7. At Osudu Lake on Highway 203, purple herons, egrets, kites, bee-eaters, common teals, kingfishers, lapwings, and terns go about their usual business of snacking, snatching moments in time, beak full of insects and small fish. Raphael, our guide from the French Institute, explains how waters too are divided and fenced, which birds are unlikely to care about, and tells us about other human callousness that add on to the sadness. We then tread across mud pathways of our sanctuary, our tired migratory wings craving for fresh air and songs, following so many nightmares and flights. Our guide's powerful telescope, appropriately called Kite, sets on a tripod zooming on birds pruning mostly, their bright yellow, red, blue, and brown-white feathers, unconcerned about this intrusion. Later, under a tempered sun, spoonbills and white ibis will settle the day in dormitories, homing now here, arriving at possibilities, unafraid yet lamenting the changing times and shifting waters, listening for the whistling wind, charting the path of Orion. For now, here at home, with strange feathers and their stranger ways in their bright sketches, hiding behind dark glasses and constant chatter. Ornithologists describe egrets as lazy. I forget now what egrets say about humans. In this green mist hour, with hunger and love satiated, they settle under the light of their single moon. I'm hoping to read a couple of more poems if there is still time. I hope that's okay. So so the next one is called Fire Dance. Again, it was written during the lockdown days where the only place I could really go was to a forest nearby in Oroville, where there were less, humans, I guess. So Fire Dance. We watch amused along with pirates and peacocks as a caterpillar plays twisting the afternoon sun around a spinning planet with her last 6 legs. She hangs from a single string even as she mulls over theories of the birth of a crazy, wayward universe. The laborious hour now stretches in an unnamed forest of laughing gin as vigilant spotted cats guard the falling light with retiring orange trash and sunbirds swirling nuts beside the impending madness of solitude. She knows she must hurry. Frantic, she uses all her dexterity to engineer this dream. It doesn't really surprise us that our caterpillar has long given up on the drudgery. Deciding it's time, she took this quantum leap, hanging as she does precariously from this string, dreaming of death and long flights with morning on her wings. Cradled in the tenderness of a dark rose, she will rest this hour, humming lullabies her mother and Robin sang not many moons ago about watercolors dissolving blue hills, yellow taxicabs, river pebbles, barbed wire fences, scriptures on palm leaves, radio frequencies, honeysuckles, and large empty prayer halls. I traveled quite a lot in 2019 for some strange reason, and then it came to a sudden halt. So I'd gone to Bodh Gaya here in India, where the Buddha got his enlightenment. So Bodh Gaya, summer 2019. I must be in Bodh Gaya, the road leading to it replete with Buddhas, Buddha Toyota, Buddha Resort, and Buddha Wood. Instantaneously, I transmorph, disappear when the tree bends to bless me. I become the tree, and the rest, they say, is history, as clouds drift past remembered breeze. I turn to look back to see if this is all real. This cannot be, for there's no one ambulating the lotus path. Only a large, brass, silent mind singing bowl serves now as the bhikshu's only refuge. What's with these Thai, Vietnamese, Bhutanese monks and nuns that make dogs, rivers restful and sleep? I squat with remembered doggedness a few meters from where they say Sakyamuni sat to meditate, but the world resurfaces as if with a vengeance. So much artifact in emptiness, it can be distracting. So much labor surrounding impermanence. I see my father's twinkle in a young monk's eye as he hands me a fallen people leaf for keeps, saying, "You're special," or something to that effect. I think of rebirths, turquoise bones, rainbow bodies, returning my father's smile on a May afternoon in Bodh Gaya. Who knew I would meet him? These etchings on stones, wood, leaves, humming in the hot breeze, bhikshus in saffron, suffering, arguing, mostly about food and survival, stupas and long queues of bodhisattvas, make-believe solidify every notable step, every breath, and yet the tree will remain unmoved in Bodh Gaya. Thank you so much.